I would listen to Jaishankar for 30 minutes and get a year's worth of experience in what Jaishankar gives in that 30 minutes.
This is an era where politics increasingly trumps economics, and that's not a pun. The United States, long the underwriter of the contemporary system, has set radically new terms of engagement. China has long played by its own rules and is now doing so even more. Now, please also bear in mind that the relative weight of nations in different domains is also undergoing a major change. The world is not what it was, say, just a decade ago. The prolific application of sanctions, the seizure of assets, and the advent of blockchain-based technologies are today part of the new realities.
There he goes again, blowing my mind. Ladies and gentlemen, we're in the shadows of an upended world, and Jaishankar has, every time there's something new come around, he's got the antidote. He's got the antidote. I mean, this is where a time where politics are literally trump economics. You know what I'm saying? Like, the old guard of globalization is crumbling right now under tariffs and sanctions and supply shocks. We stand at the precipice of the Great Reset. A lot of people thought, hey, it's conspiracy theory, but now it's openly explained, and we can see that with Trump's moves on changing allies and friendships with the Middle East, into India's change of allies, kind of, going into Afghanistan and just grabbing whoever they can get. There's this reset going on in the world. And Dr. S. Jaishankar, he's like the Rubio of America or the Lavrov of Russia. But he seems to have something about him that when you listen to him, dude, I would listen to him. If I was going to go to college, I would listen to Jaishankar for 30 minutes and get a year's worth of experience and what Jaishankar gives in that 30 minutes. And we're going to go over what he just went over. And I went through the whole thing. He gave this speech and I was just like, whoa, he's right on. And he opens your eyes to things like that we normally wouldn't see. India's unyielding voice right now. It's an unyielding voice on the global stage, confronts the chaos of the world right now head on. From Calcutta's hollowed halls of the IIM, he unveils how America is rewriting the rules and how China is casting these long shadows on the economy. And nations hedge right now. They're hedging in fear. But for India, it's not even a crisis. It's weird. It's their clarion call to forge self-reliance, like amplify their industrial might and reclaim, which I don't even think they have to reclaim. I think they've already claimed the official name as a superpower that's unbound. So we're gonna go over this. Grab yourselves a drink, enjoy the whole thing. Please like and subscribe. But we're gonna go over the Jaishankar as he charts the bold path right here ahead that they're taking to kind of just curve around the economic instability in the world right now, in which they're thriving. The highest GDP right now rate growth of any other country in the world, India. Ladies and gentlemen, the great and only Jaishankar.
Now, my own life has been spent in the study of international relations and the pursuit of diplomacy. This was initially as a student, then for more than 4 decades as a diplomat, briefly, as I said, on the global side of business, and currently as the minister with the responsibility for the conduct of our foreign policy. In the course of this journey, my own understanding of this subject has evolved, and perhaps the sharpest realization is of the intricate connect between national capabilities and external aspirations. This is clearly not rocket science, but the complexity of that linkage and its relationship to policy options is something that is really brought home by experience. It is therefore natural that on an occasion like this, that too at an institution so deeply associated with our economic growth, that this should be the subject of my address. For many decades now, this connect that I have referred to has been conceptually articulated as comprehensive national power. A complex aggregation of multiple dimensions, it is a measure of a country's strength, of its quality of life, and of its ability to shape the world. Some aspects, like military or economic capacities, are more obvious. Others, like natural resources, niche technologies, or cultural impact, perhaps much less so. Occasionally, developing exceptional capabilities provide an added source of power. Now, conversely, allowing crucial vulnerabilities such as neglect of border infrastructure or indifference to industrialization can be a great weakness. Now, it is sometimes said that the best foreign policy is high economic growth. Well, there is much truth to it. Reality is actually much more complicated than that. It is not just about progressing on a broad front, but also paying attention to specifics which have a larger implication. Let me illustrate that. Contemporary debates today about chips, about rare earths, about connectivity illustrate this point. More than that, there is actually the question of fostering an underlying culture which determines a society's attitude, its habits, and its temperament. For all the talk about services, it is only by manufacturing that we can actually really appreciate technology, spread an industrial culture, and encourage innovation. And that is precisely why, in an extremely competitive world, the state of entrepreneurship at home is intrinsically linked to the pursuit of interests abroad. It is central to how we relate to the world and equally a beneficiary of what we draw from it. In that sense, my world and yours are really not that far apart. Let us turn to the global landscape and begin by recognizing the profound changes underway. This is an era where politics increasingly trumps economics, and that's not a pun. Decisions are now being made not merely on costs, but taking into account ownership and security. Where a product is made or who offers a service is as important as their price points. When de-risking overrides the logic of efficiency, the mantra of just in time actually gives place to the caution of just in case. Of course, globalization still exists because it's too far gone to be rolled back. But with powerful counter forces today brought into play, far from being an aberration, these trends have only just started and will probably pick up pace in times to come. Now let's turn our attention to some key elements of this transformation, which actually make for a less rule-bound and a more fragmented world. The United States, long the underwriter of the contemporary system, has set radically new terms of engagement. Not just that, it is doing so by dealing with countries on a one-on-one basis rather than through regimes. China has long played by its own rules and is now doing so even more. In the ensuing scenario, other nations are unclear on whether their attention should be on the visible competition or the trade-offs and understandings that punctuate them. Faced with such pulls and pressures of globalization, of fragmentation, and of supply insecurity, the rest of the world responds by hedging against all contingencies. Even as it engages the United States and China directly, choices are avoided where feasible, and choices are made when beneficial. Simultaneously, other options between themselves are explored with greater urgency. One sign of that is the uptick in the enthusiasm today for free trade agreements across geographies. Now, while all of this is happening, the global picture is by no means static. Europe and Asia are reassessing their respective strategic predicaments. The very landscape in the Middle East has undergone a transformation. The importance of partnering Africa's growth is more widely recognized. And as distances become less relevant, new opportunities are visualized in Latin America. Now, please also bear in mind that the relative weight of nations in different domains is also undergoing a major change. Whether it is manufacturing, energy, trade, finance, technology, natural resources, connectivity, or mobility, the world is not what it was, say, just a decade ago. A third of global production currently takes place in China. This has put the spotlight on the resilience and reliability of supply chains. Conflicts and climate events have added to the possibility of their disruption. When it comes to energy, the US has gone from being a major importer to a significant exporter of fossil fuels. At the same time, China dominates the world of renewables. Where trade is concerned, supply-side risks are aggravated by demand-side uncertainty. The salience of tariff rates to trade prospects has obviously heightened volatility. And as for finance, the prolific application of sanctions, the seizure of assets, and the advent of blockchain-based technologies are today part of the new realities. And what can we say about technology when the mother of all changes, artificial intelligence moving towards artificial general intelligence, is at our very doorstep? Understandably, it has a direct impact on the competition for natural resources, especially rare earths and critical minerals. Now, even as these developments unfold, we are revisiting history by reinventing connectivity. The hardwiring, designed by the vested interests of imperialism, needed to change as new centers of production and consumption came up. While some of it was organic and some of it was market-driven, others appear to also have a strategic intent. Indeed, the very concept of dual-purpose connectivity challenges the orthodox assumptions and definitions that many of us hold. Another dimension worth recognizing is the importance of the mobility of talent. The flow may be driven by demands of technology, but they are actually made possible by a globalized economy. Over a period, it was not just the talent that is moving, so too is the tasking. And we see that in the rise now of global capability centers. Demographic is also at work, not only technology and economics. In many societies, the maintenance of basic social services requires skills from abroad, as do their economic production. The cumulative result is the need today to prepare for a global workforce.
A lot to swallow there. A lot to swallow, but boy, is he right on target. I think so. Let me know what you think out there. Please like, subscribe, click that notification button. One love, and let's make this world a better place. Unity. America and India need to get together in unity. I'm telling you, Division is powerless. Have a blessed day. One love.